All right, our grand finals of this week's KSL. It is, as always, a banger. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Crimson Court. For the Shopify Rebellion, we have the blue Terran player, ByuN. A fan favorite. Everybody loves ByuN. One of the most, one of the Korean players with the most personality in the scene. He's just, yeah, very personable, very fun kind of guy. Likes to talk a little bit of crap, but also just a sweetheart. His opponent in the lower left-hand corner. He's a killer. He's got the chin of the century. And for Twisted Minds, it is classic. These guys always give a really good match. I feel like they're very evenly matched players. I don't think anybody's like super favored over the other. Yeah. Should give us a really good finals here. Even with our smaller turnout for this week's KSL, still get a good finals. Honestly, the semis was quite good as well. Classic versus Trap, ByuN versus Creator. It gives me a sense of great satisfaction when the round of 4 in the finals like could conceivably be a GSL from some point in the last 10 years. Like Trap, Classic, Creator, ByuN. You could tell me there was a GSL where that was the top 4. I'd buy it. I think it's really cool to have former world champions play in the tournament regularly. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool, and I wish I could do more in the StarCraft scene. I wish it was easier to secure funding for StarCraft tournaments. If anybody out there knows somebody like with a bunch of money burning a hole in their pocket and they just want to sponsor some StarCraft events, you know, hit me up. We could get more KSLs going. We could go back to once a week. We could do, I was just talking about doing Stormgate every other week and StarCraft every other week. You know, if anybody wants some Stormgate content, any rich people out there, you just hit me up. I've thought about doing like amateur Korean leagues. I wanted to put together a Code A at one point. All sorts of options. Yeah, we're looking for the rich people. If you want me to advertise for your product, like, hit me up. There's some things I'm not allowed to advertise on Twitch, but if you don't tell, I won't. So, yeah, we'll make it happen. I'll stream on YouTube. But I should talk about this game, I guess, a little bit. It's Classic's trying to be annoying there, put some pressure on, but ByuN going for the double Cyclone opener. Excuse me, that's going to be the quad Cyclone opener. Classic, fortunately, does have a shield battery on the way up, and it looks like he's going to try to take this back base, which is going to be a little bit harder for ByuN to go put pressure on. So it's a nice little effect of this map. And ByuN's not going to be able to necessarily get back there and harass the third base, but he is going to very successfully harass this natural base. And I think he spots these minerals mined through. Oof, locking onto a Stalker there. Blink is not quite done yet. These Stalkers do have to be a bit careful. Great micro here from ByuN. Super shield battery is turned on by a little bit of time. Classic just needs Blink to finish, needs a few more warpins. It does look like he wants to put some pressure on. He's got a couple more gates finishing up here. And of course, with that Prism, he can get some pressure going while he expands behind it. That's the classic way to do it. I think Day 9 taught us to do that. Thanks to Day 9, I expand when I attack, you know? Actually, funnily enough, Day 9 didn't teach me that. That was Tempo. Tempo put that as lyrics in his song about Day 9. And that's how I learned that that's a good idea. Very genuinely, that is how I learned that that's a good strategy. Oh my god, Classic's gonna blink forward. He's insane. There's so many Marines here. Classic. That was maybe the biggest patience blink I've ever seen in my entire life. Byun does lose most of his cyclones. He saved this one. Did he pick this up in the medevac? I thought it died. He does end up saving one. That was terrible for Classic. Oh my god. Again, Classic's got a third behind this. He doesn't like need to get a bunch of damage done, but I don't think he was expecting Stim to be finished already for Byun, who went for like a 2-1-1 behind this. Third rack's only just now on the way up. So a much faster Stim than I think Classic was expecting. Yeah, he got really punished for blinking in like that. I don't think he spotted that medevac moving out. Marines trying to dive on top of that prison. They don't quite get it. So a few SCVs are going to fall here before Byun is going to be able to push this away. Classic does have a spotter observer here. That should give him a little bit of advance warning that this is coming. If he has a warp-in available, which he might not. Yeah, he's just going to go for the recall. Gets the Stalkers home. And Byun's drop is not going to be able to get much done here. Just going to kill some Stalkers, which, I mean, I guess that's pretty good. Ooh, gets the Warp Prism as well. Okay, it turns out Byun's pretty good at this game. And he just killed... Sorry, I don't know why I checked that. There's already a bunch of dead Stalkers. Killed the Prism and I think 3 Stalkers there for that drop. Not bad, all things considered. Very interesting choice here from Classic to knock down these rocks. I guess it makes movement between the bases a lot easier. But as Byun is pushing right now, I don't think these rocks are going to have a chance to go down all the way. Only 350 hit points left on him, but we're going to have to stay up for now. Byun is moving out. Oh my god, he's pulled every single boy. All the boys are coming with this. Byun, he's all in on 2 bases. He needs to get big damage done. Zealots coming in from the backside, trying to get the surround, but Byun spots it, and he's going to kill a bunch of those Zealots before anything even happens here. Forcefield's going down on the front. A lot of these SCVs getting trimmed off at the start of this fight. But that's going to allow Byun to move forward a little bit with these siege tanks. He's got a bunch of reinforcements piling up in the middle of the map as well. And he needs to have join up with this as the Zealots come in now. All sorts of Zealots. The SCVs getting taken down. The bio count is so low. And the Zealots get on top of the tanks. The Immortal targeting those down. The reinforcements come through, but with 21 dead SCVs and a Disruptor out, I think Classic has plenty here to hold. And I feel like Classic is moments away from taking game number 1. He just needs to push this back. Not a lot of Stalkers left, so I guess the medevacs are safe for now. But I think Byun can really only fight this out for so long. He's so far behind economically. More Zealots coming through. The Immortal does fall. But Classic's just going to keep on warping in. And he's got a Colossus on the way now as well. Some more consistent damage than those Disruptors. Byun clears out those rocks. He's going to push into the third. Those rocks that only had 350 hit points left, but Classic is ready for it. He's got observers around. Picking off Marauders here is really, really nice. Byun sieges up a tank, but it just feels like every time Classic pushes him back, he's pushing him further and further back. Byun drops some mules, but on 40 SCVs and no third command center in sight, I don't know how he keeps this going. Classic, in the meantime, is going to grab a 4th base. And with a Colossus out now, a second one halfway done, he's expecting a potential drop here, and he's just posturing for that. He's got observers just in the middle of the map, so he can see just anything he needs to, pretty much. Oh my god, and there's not a drop coming, but there are 2 Liberators coming, and Classic he's more than ready for them. Byun trying to find a way in, and it's just not happening right now. Oh my god. Well, didn't get as much as I thought it was going to. That could have been big. But Byun still very low siege tank here. And Classic, he's just going for it. He's going to blink on top of this. Takes out those first 2 Liberators. And GG gets called immediately as Byun He just doesn't have the army to take that on right now. Classic. Holding against the all-in despite the biggest patience blink I've seen in a long time. He holds against that all-in. GG. Yeah, great game number one. Really, really back and forth. Both players putting on pressure as quickly as possible. I know Beyond does like to do that. He doesn't like to be passive, and I think Classic's kind of the same way. Like, he wants to get little bits of damage done as much as he can. Try to gain a little bit of an edge. Game 2 is going to be on Golden Aura. And if you are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, following my Twitch channel. Trying to bump those numbers up and streaming a lot more lately. Trying to get the content machine rolling again. Took some time off for like a couple of years. I guess like a year I took some time off, and I don't know. Trying to get back into it. I felt my passion for StarCraft revitalized from the live events the last few years. Really excited actually to go to Home Story Cup in November. I haven't been to Europe. I haven't been to mainland Europe since I was 4 years old. So I'm excited to go to Germany, spend some time there, hang out with a bunch of StarCraft nerds, and I don't know, if I'm lucky, get to cast on the Home Story Cup couch. That would be a legitimate dream come true to be able to do that. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about these players. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Golden Aura. For the Shopify Rebellion, we have Beyond. And his opponent in the upper left. For Twisted Minds, it's Classic. Classic checking for some proxies because, well, he's playing against Beyond, so you do have to check for some proxies sometimes. But Beyond not proxying, just opening with a barracks. Like it's going to be a factory behind that. We'll see if Classic decides to go for something different this game or if it's another Blink opener. I feel like Blink openers are just so strong and solid against Terran. I do love Phoenix openers against Terran, but they seem to be becoming more and more rare as time goes on, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe it's all my time watching Roddy. I just love Phoenixes. Phoenixes are such a fun unit. They're really fun to play with. They're one of my favorite units to micro in the game, but also like just to cast. It's just very entertaining. And it is a Twilight Council, kind of as expected. Beyond is opening up pretty heavy on the Reaper Hellion here, though. He already does have a Reaper out, and looks like he's going to go up to maybe 5 Reapers, 2 Hellions. Is that the build here? Okay, 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions. And then it's a Marines. So not a huge investment in those early game units, but Classic does not have a full wall here. Nor does he have a anti-Reaper wall, so a lot of potential for Beyond to get some damage done. There's a shield battery in the natural, though, and 1 Adept up here spotting. But it looks like Beyond's going to dive up into the main base with the 3 Reapers and try to get some probe damage. At the same time, these Hellions could dive into the natural. Couple of probes going down already, but good shade on top of those Reapers. Reaper Grenade trying to save them, and oh my god, ByuN does it. Hellions diving in over here. Not getting a lot of damage done thanks to that shield battery. Really trying to target them down. They get 3 total, which is just 1 for these Hellions. But the Reaper's going to go back into the main base. Can they get something done as the Hellions sacrifice themselves so the Reapers can get just 1 more kill, it looks like. And altogether, I would say really nice defense from Classic. I mean, that could have been a lot worse. For 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions, that I'd say is well worth it. Classic still maintains a worker lead. Now he can go take a 3rd base. There's no presence out on the map for ByuN. His follow-up is not going to hit for a little while. Looks like it's going to be some Cloaked Banshees as well as just Marine Tank. But we see ByuN is worried about a counterattack, so he's going to build a bunker out front. And that's fantastic for Classic, who is currently not counterattacking, but just taking a 3rd base and chilling back at home. ByuN misses the close on the supply depot. I don't know if that Adept could have scouted the... oh, it did. It scouted the tech lab. Adept Shades don't have a lot of vision, but looks like it was just enough. We already have 2 observers out and a 3rd one on the way. So Classic is going to be very able to defend Cloaked Banshees back at home. But here comes ByuN's push. He's got the 2 Banshees heading towards the main. Stalker's a little bit busy right now in the middle of the map, trying to poke down some Marines, but 1 Stalker died? I thought there was 5 out here for a second. Oh, wasn't there? And that means the 2 Banshees just going to be able to sneak right in here. More Stalkers warping in. It looks like there were some Stalkers in the main base. But that's just 5 probe kills very quickly. Ooh. Yeah, this is really nice maneuvering here from ByuN. Oh, it does look like 1 Banshee's going to fall. The other one gets back to the corner. Meanwhile, the push in the middle of the map is just going to pull on back. As ByuN's got a 3rd base on the way. He doesn't want to overcommit with his ground army. Classic is going to see this army coming home, though, so very nice for him. This Banshee gets even more kills. There's already, I think, 10 kills just from these Banshees. Doesn't look like they'll get too much more done, though. ByuN really, he's really trying to find something, but no luck. And Banshee explodes over the really pretty, like, pink water here. It's like a coral-colored water on the sides of this map. I don't think I ever really realized that. It's not quite pink, though, is it? So it feels a little bit orangey. That's very pretty. Very pretty water. Goes really nice with the green. The greenery here. Yeah. Good map design. Whoever designed Golden Aura, good job. Nice aesthetics. Ooh, we have a big stim here from ByuN. Charge is done for these Zealots, so Classic's got a nice army behind this as the tanks are going to siege up here on the low ground. He's going to scan up top and get some really nice pot shots off of these siege tanks to start things off. Shield battery gets gunned down immediately. There's a 2nd one back here for Classic. He's going to turn on the overcharge on that one. But Classic is bleeding out a lot of units before a fight even really happens here. Zealot's trying to come in from the backside, but they get killed because of the scan. ByuN saw that coming, and the high ground scan here has been so nice. He does lose some high ground vision. Oh, man, but he's got just enough, and I feel like this bio is going to crush these Zealots. The tanks are getting jumped on, but now they're just tanking for the bio, and suddenly Classic has no army left. ByuN has plenty of army left. 4th base is not happening here. In fact, 3rd base is maybe feeling a bit dicey. Zealots trying to come in and get some damage done, but reinforcements coming for ByuN as well. And Classic, he's just got nothing left here. He's got a Colossus on the way, but that is unfortunately Not here in time to save these probes. I don't think here in time to save this base. I feel like ByuN could probably just knock this base right on down here pretty soon. Zealot streaming in just a few at a time. More Widow Mines coming forward. I think only one's going to connect. That's all he really needs. GG gets called. ByuN will tie the series up in a pretty quick game number 2 there. I mean, considering we were 3 base to 3 base. That was a very nice push. And ByuN again being very aggressive in these games. I feel like that's his wheelhouse, is putting on bits of pressure and just kind of keeping it going. Little victories here and there. And it's going to be on Classic to hold off some of those. You know, like if the Banshees don't get 10 probe kills, that push probably doesn't do nearly as well later on. Now we're going to Alcyone for game number 3. Means we have at least a 4-game series. I knew it was going to be a banger. I knew it was. I could smell it at the beginning. I hope we get a nice long game out of them too. I don't think either of these players like super love long games. But I've seen them both play them. They're not averse to them. So maybe we'll get a nice long game. A nice long macro game here. And map number 3. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner, we have ByuN, the Shopify Rebellion. And his opponent in the upper right-hand corner for Twisted Minds, it's Classic. Now again, if you guys would like to support this event at all, consider checking out our Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you can get the replays from every one of these tournaments, and also just be supporting Korean StarCraft. But if that's too rich for you, check out the Match Arena, where you can add 25 cents to the prize pool for absolutely no money out of your pocket. Just got to click a couple of buttons. And ByuN doing the old Maca-Racks. I don't think I ever actually saw any games by, is it Maca, right? Who popularized this kind of barracks, I guess. I don't actually remember that happening. I remember a lot of things that like lent their names to future play styles, but I don't remember watching Maca build Raxes just outside of his base. That one escapes me. But what's funny here is Classic didn't probe scout at all. So like building this just outside of the base, it actually means nothing. It's really funny how like this is supposed to punish somebody who scouts and then like overreacts to what it could be. But because Classic didn't scout, it's one of those things that, what's the bell curve? The bell curve meme where the low IQ players would not scout and not see what's happening, and that would be bad. And then the like mid IQ players always scout, so they would find this, or so they wouldn't see the barracks and they would overreact, and that would be bad. But then like the high IQ players again don't scout. It ends up being like a good call. Actually, you don't need to scout. I don't know, explaining that meme makes it way less funny. I hope you can all visualize it. We do have ByuN again opening up with some heavier Reaper Hellion production. Gonna lose that Hellion though. Good focus fire from Classic, making sure to take down the one unit there that does not heal itself. This time though, ByuN gonna keep the pressure on a little bit quicker with the Cyclone follow-up as well. See if he can punish Classic, who does not currently have a shield battery here. Dives in for the Adept, gonna get the Adept, and now the Probe's coming out to fight. Oh, one Reaper gets really low but stays alive. That's his already 5 Probe kills. And the lack of shield battery here being super painful. Classic not able to hold that natural wall. Oh my god, the Reaper grenade again. ByuN is so good with those. And this is suddenly really racking up. 9 probe kills, almost gets that 10th probe kill. Huge, huge damage at the start. Last game was what, 4 for the same investment? So this is over double the damage. And that is very, very good for ByuN. I mean, last game was like a good hold for Classic, but I think ByuN got like minimum damage to make it worth it. This game is significantly better. Classic's going to go for the immediate counterattack. He does have Blink nearly done. He's just on 2 gates right now. But he doesn't have the money to take the 3rd just yet because he lost so many probes. He wants to put some pressure on. ByuN is trying to get a bunker up, but he doesn't actually have any Marines out. The first 2 pop. The tank is going to siege up, and Blink is just barely not done yet, so Classic needs to back up immediately. He does have an observer coming across, so he's going to try to blink into the main base. But ByuN has a... oh, I thought it was the 2nd tank. He's just moved the tank up because he is anticipating this move. Yeah, Cyclone coming up as well. Classic's going to blink in. The tank, oh, just out of range there for a second. The Observer going to get scanned and killed. That is going to allow some of these Stalkers to get on top of the SCVs, though. But as the Stalkers rotate around, they're going to get hit by the Siege tank. Some splash damage from that tank is going to hurt the SCVs. Oof, but those last 2 Stalkers going down. Only 1 gets out of there. 5 Stalkers getting killed, and Classic just taps out immediately. For what it's worth, there was probes going down on the other side of the map. I think that might have been a Liberator. I'm actually not entirely sure what it ended up being that was doing damage over there. At the end of the day, oh, it was a Banshee. It was a Banshee. Yeah. No 3rd. For Classic, losing probes, losing all the Stalkers, and ByuN takes a very quick game number 3 to go up to match point. We're heading towards Oceanborn now. All right. Let's hop in here, get our scores settled. Gotta settle the score. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our blue Terran player for the Shopify Rebellion, ByuN. And his opponent in the lower right for Twisted Minds, it is Classic. Classic again, scouting for the proxy. He knows his opponent, and I was actually thinking like ByuN on match point in a best of 5. That is like prime ByuN proxying time. So he might think like, oh, I have a free game. I have a free game where even if I lose, we're just going to game 5, no problem. Maybe I'll just proxy. I like that Classic is scouting for it. Even though, of course he's not finding it, but I like that he's thinking about it. CC going down on the high ground. Classic is going to dive back in and get the scout. Get the scout. I was talking to my Canadian friend who's trying to get citizenship in the U.S. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm taking the test tomorrow. And I was like, buddy, You say tomorrow like that, you're gonna fail the test. You're gonna know you're Canadian. You gotta work on that. He goes, oh, sorry. I was like, oh man. We can't be handing citizenship out. People who say sorry and tomorrow. You know what I mean, eh? Dang Canadians. Speaking of which, I'm sad we didn't get Trigger in here tonight. It's always good to have some Canadian representation in the KSL. Future signed up but didn't play, so our North American representation was severely lacking. And again, very sad that the tasteless Stormgate, massive Stormgate tournament was scheduled for the same time as KSL. That kind of hurts. That's always a painful one. We missed out on having Clem in the bracket because of that. And also Nightmare, who usually plays in these, was playing in that. It is cool, though, to see some Stormgate action happening. That game's been quite fun. I actually have had an enjoyable time laddering it, which is a crazy thing. But Classic is dropping a proxy gate. He is not happy being down 0-1 or 2-1 right now. This is 4 Widow Mines, though. How do you deal with 4 Widow Mines? That's kind of insane. There's no blink here, so he's going to have to wait for a Warp Prism. Oh, ByuN's going to go for a drop. I mean, I know this was the plan, but I don't think he realizes how aggressive Classic is being. Those Widow Mines would be very nice to keep back at home. Adept's going to threaten to shade in here. ByuN will close the door. The second Cyclone is almost out, but the SCV is getting pulled. They're going to have to repair this bunker. Cyclone is going to get taken down. Second Cyclone up on the high ground, though, doing a great job. Going to take down a Stalker. Oh my god, the door is open, though. But you know what? ByuN's doing a great job holding this so far. He is going to kill all of these units. The Cyclone is low, but great micro. Keeps it alive, and that means this drop is going to get off with 4 Widow Mines in it. Oh my god. Oh, how did that not connect? Insane. Still going to get a couple of kills. ByuN's medevac going to stay back here and be annoying. It's forcing Classic to keep Stalkers at home. In fact, Classic only has Stalkers at home. So ByuN is chilling on the other side of the map. He did lose 7 workers. So we see ByuN taking a bit of a worker deficit here. But remember, Classic doesn't have a third up. And this is, I mean, we're 5 minutes in. Classic would for sure want a third by now. Or tech. He's heading towards a Robo Bay, but he's still very far away from it. And there's no blink on these Stalkers. I feel like we're so used to seeing the Protoss have blink by now that it's crazy that these Stalkers just don't have it. It looks like the medevac tried to come back in and did get taken down. But probes are forced to be pulled down here. There's a Liberator hitting on the back lines as well. That's going to get 3 Stalker kills before it goes down. ByuN is just trading so well against these non-blink Stalkers. He's killed 8 of them already. That's insane. Classic is heading back across the map. The Reaper is going to scout that there's a third base on the way. But again, this is very late for Classic. He's got a Robo Bay up, but he hasn't started a Colossus, a Thermal Lance, or anything like that. He's just on pure unupgraded Gateway units right now. Not a very good army. But I guess ByuN doesn't have a third base up yet either. He does have a lot of bio out, a couple of siege tanks. He's got stim on the way. So I feel like ByuN's army is going to be better sooner than Classic's. Classic is going to have a Colossus with Thermal Lance out, or I guess a couple of Colossi with Thermal Lance out. Twilight Council's about halfway done. I just heard a Banshee. This is the Banshee. There's the Banshee. No cloak on this Banshee, just coming in here trying to get some worker damage done. Again, without blink, I guess it's just not scared of these Stalkers. It just kills one and then flies to the corner. On his stim is nearly done. ByuN's just going to move across the map. He's not even going to wait for combat shields or +1. Medevacs are on the way. Classic is going to scout this. He's going to see this coming across, and he's going to try to intercept it. ByuN scouts the observer. He's going to scan it and kill it. And it looks like he's about to find this gateway that's been proxied. Oh, ByuN's going to run into this Colossus. Doesn't quite have stim yet. The medevacs aren't here yet. One tank goes down. The second tank is going to fall as well. And now it's just these stimless bio units. And you know what? ByuN, he might have just thrown away a nice lead there by attacking a little too early. He had some time before, you know, Blink, before Thermal Lance, before a second Colossus. But he hit so early, he also didn't have his upgrades. And Classic ends up taking a great fight in the middle of the map. And suddenly, feels like Classic is right back in this game. Now ByuN's army is very small. This third base feels super vulnerable. I don't think Classic should dive in on it. Because ByuN does have stim now. +1's about to finish. Combat shield's about to finish. Oh, and Blink is still not done yet. There's a couple of Vikings out as well. This feels a little bit dicey for Classic to be out here again with these Blinkless Stalkers. But it looks like it's going to be enough to push ByuN back into his natural. The base does finish, so he's just going to lift that up and pull it back. But it is paying off for Classic. ByuN not able to mine at this third base, delaying the orbital morph. Delaying it by quite a bit. As ByuN waits for some more units. He's actually just going to pick up and go drop because it is ByuN. Classic is already pulled all the way back. He is not overcommitting to this pressure. But this fourth base is going to get dropped on. That will be canceled. Classic tries to get into an early fourth. Blink still not done yet. So ByuN can just pick up in these medevacs and get out of there. No problem. Man, this has been such a slugfest. This whole series, honestly, has felt like a bit of a slugfest. And it's very close. The resources lost is super close. Classic's up quite a few workers. And delaying this third base from mining is really, really good for him. We see Classic taking a nice little mining boost there. But, of course, losing the fourth base, losing those extra pylons is painful. ByuN is ahead on upgrades. He's up about 1 upgrade here. And he's got a bigger army, and I kind of feel like it's a better army right now. Like, Classic's army is okay, but it's really like the Colossi are the linchpin right now. And we do have Ghosts coming out, as well as Storm on the way. Classic, I think, one of the few Protoss players that still gets Storm in PvTs. We see Classic getting into double upgrades before ByuN. So while ByuN has a slight lead now, I think Classic will pretty much be able to catch up, or at least partially catch up in those upgrades. Ooh, dropping a Stargate. Is Classic going to try to head towards, like, carriers? He could just be going for, like, a mothership also. Classic posturing like he wants to attack, and ByuN just staying defensive for the time being. He does have 7 Vikings out right now, waiting for any Warp Prism that might come by, but decent amount of Vikings to deal with Colossi. And yeah, there's actually a second Stargate and a Fleet Beacon coming up for Classic, so he is going to be getting into carriers. Now, going carriers against Terran is really dangerous. There is a point where your carriers have, like, no upgrades, and you only have, like, 2 carriers against just a huge ball of Marines, where if your splash damage isn't able to do what it needs to do, say the High Templar get EMP'd, the Colossi get taken out by the Vikings, the Marines just absolutely dumpster interceptors. They really do. You need a lot of interceptors for them to actually take decent fights against Marines.
We could use some help here.
So there's a dangerous point here as we see the scan to see that those carriers are coming out. We also already have double Viking production and a second starport on the way here for ByuN. He's got +1 attack for those Vikings coming up. So the Vikings can outrange quite a bit. I think they have 10 range, if I'm not mistaken. So some good focus fire. The Vikings can be really, really good. The Marines can take on the interceptors very nicely. It's all about the balance here between these. Can some storms land? Can the Colossi get their shots off on the Marines versus the EMPs and the Vikings target firing those units down? I think the Vikings want to kill the Colossi first, unless Classic's retreating, in which case the carriers are slower and you want to kill the carriers. I don't know. I feel like killing the Colossi is a bit safer because your heavily upgraded Marines are going to be able to take on those interceptors until there's really like 8 or 9 carriers. And it does get a bit overwhelming for the Marines. But it's funny how I said earlier in this series, like, oh, neither of these players is super passive. And now, after a bit of an aggressive early game, we're just absolutely chilling here. Oh, Byun killing some... Did he just kill Marines? Not really sure what he just killed right there. To replace with more ghosts, it looks like. Not happy with the amount of ghosts he had. We have Classic taking a 5th base, though. Very high worker count up here for both players. Oh, there's gonna be a big fight that might just decide this game. Oh, pull the ghost back. No. Never mind. I guess it's fine. I like the missile turrets here too. Just trying to get some free damage off. Not getting a lot of damage done right now, these ones anyways, but we'll at least give Byun a chance to know this is here, and Classic trying to move in. To go step forward, but don't get any EMPs off just yet. Classic needs to be careful. This army bunched like this is so EMP-able. Oh, and the Vikings gonna step forward. They click on one of the carriers, and they just get a free carrier right there. Beautifully done. The Stalkers not able to get in position to stop those Vikings soon enough. And a dead carrier is very, very expensive for Classic, who wants to keep diving forward. First juicy EMP hitting. The EMP versus feedback back and forth here. Classic really keeping that pressure on. He is taking a 6th base behind this. Byun also has a 5th base that is just starting to get mining right now. I like that Classic is killing these turrets that Byun put down. Just trying to get some value here. Ooh, feedbacks and storms going down. A big cloak gets popped. We have plenty of scan, I think, from Byun. The Time Warp might be a little more valuable here. Byun ends up a little bit bunched up. Not a lot of Marines left in here either. Mothership gets tagged. It is going to get taken down. More storms dropping, zoning those Vikings backwards. I think the Stalkers might need to stay behind a little bit as the carriers are going to start getting hit here. There's only 3 carriers left right now. But the Interceptor's still diving forward, getting some of those Vikings, as are the Stalkers. Colossus goes down, so there's only 2 of those left. Byun is down in supply right now, though. And Classic's going to have the quicker resupply with his gateway units that are just going to be able to warp in. Versus Byun's going to have to wait for all of his units in the production tab to build. Massive EMP, though, hits the back of this army. Carrier's going to get taken down immediately as Colossus doing its best. But the EMPs are so big here. Byun loses a 4th base, but takes a beautiful fight. However, is it going to be enough? 23 SCVs going down, that 4th base falling. Classic's going to retreat with some of his gateway units, and he's going to run in over here with more. This 4th base, or 5th base, has been up for forever, but it hasn't been a planetary, and these Zealots are going to wreak havoc. Byun has to go deal with it. He needs this base to come up. And it looks like he is going to defend it, but that means that Classic can come back over here, harass this base. There's all these long-distance mining SCVs, and Classic is just doing a beautiful job. Byun took a great fight, but Classic is just fighting it out now with these quicker units. Forces the cancel on this planetary, forces it to lift. ByuN's going to focus on defending this base, but now 33 workers have gone down. And Classic is just, oh, he's just absolutely everywhere here. The Zealot's now diving into the natural. There's not much to hit, but ByuN is still going to have to deal with this. But right now, he's fighting on the front lines. Storm's going down. EMP's trying to hit, as ByuN's army is all very much in the yellow and the orange here. Again, he pushes Classic back, but the natural is just getting beset upon. Oh, no, he's going to lose the big supply depot. Not the big depot. And ByuN's in a lot of trouble right now. And Classic accidentally sending these carriers forward is a little bit scary. But he's rebuilding the carrier army now that he's killed all of the Vikings. There's still 8 Vikings around, but mostly they're landed. They're all pretty injured. And Classic is still chilling on 87 workers across 6 bases, a 7th base on the way. And ByuN, I don't think he has any recourse to go across the map. The army supplies are the same, but I feel like Classic's army is going to take at least a good enough fight where ByuN's not going to be able to resupply if he loses this army. He just doesn't have the money for it. Classic, though, he does have the money for it. He's starting to bank up. He's at max, and he's just banking up, getting all of his upgrades across the board. ByuN's going to have a very tough time taking as good of a fight as he did last time. And honestly, he needs to take a better fight. He needs to take an incredibly clean fight. And I just don't think that's possible against Classic's army. I mean, that's a good start. Storm again zoning him back. ByuN does have Cloak. He could go for Cloak on these ghosts and just try to lay down EMPs on absolutely everything. As we have more Zealots getting in, trying to get some SCV kills. ByuN's worker count not allowed to get above 50. Still quite a few ghosts here, but still a good amount of High Templar with energy. Well, it's just 3 High Templar, I guess, but they do have plenty of energy, and Classic's doing a great job keeping them away from those ghosts. Well, more Zealots run in. The reinforcements having to deal with that, while ByuN is focused over here. Scan goes down. EMPs do lay on a lot of this army. But Classic, as he gets EMP'd, he's going to drop a couple of storms and just back up for now. They still have the cloaking field active, and I don't know if there's another scan for ByuN right now. Oh my god, and some storms from the backside. Huge storms. Plenty of medevacs here to heal, but that's going to allow this base to go down. Classic keeping this army back with the storms while he takes down the base. He doesn't have any storms to cover his retreat. I don't even know if he's going to need them. He's just kind of winning this fight right now, or at least taking a good enough fight. He's killed 27 more workers. Oh my god, and the storms are so big, laying down on top of all of these ghosts. I think ByuN is still going to win this fight. Just goes to show you how strong these units are, especially when they have 13 medevacs in the skies, keeping them healed up. The Viking's going to dive forward and get one more carrier. Can ByuN keep pushing right now, because he is not able to mine from this base? ByuN is barely mining at all. His income is terrible, and it turns out he's not going to be able to continue despite taking some really good fights in this game. He just doesn't have the economy behind it. And Classic's going to be able to tie the series up, bring us to an ace match. Looking good there. Classic looking really good in the late game of that matchup. I was kind of worried. Like, sometimes you see players start to get into carriers against Terran, and the Terran just absolutely overruns them, can pull them out of position. Dropping or hitting in multiple locations can be a really good strategy. I'm a little surprised with how passive ByuN was in the later stages of that game. I feel like there is a world where he might split that army into 2 and like try to be aggressive on a couple of different fronts. We've seen a lot of the top Terran players do that before. And that can be a really good way to take advantage of somebody who's got that like death ball Protoss army, right? Because it can't be a death ball when it's split in half. It's a little bit tougher to micro for the Protoss there. But yeah, it stayed pretty passive, and it did not work out for him. So I imagine we're not going to see another late game. if he can avoid it. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Site Delta. For the Shopify Rebellion, we have Byun. Still on match point, but maybe feeling a little bit less stoked on this match after that last game. His opponent in the lower right-hand corner, looking strong in the late game. For Twisted Minds, it's Classic. This has been a very, very fantastic series. Again, it's like, that's what you expect. Byun versus Classic. You know it's going to be good. Classic. I assume is scouting for proxies, but part of me wants him to be the one to proxy. I always find it so interesting that the different proxy scouting that players do. Like, he checked back here, but instead of checking this base and then heading over, he like went around this side. I guess this would be a good spot for proxies as well. I don't know. It's an interesting choice. He's gonna scout the main base. Sees nothing really wrong. Command center on the way. Despite all of Classic scouting in this best of 5, Byun is not. He's not proxy. He's not busted out the proxy. Now we have chat fighting over who's taking the energy. Some people like Byun, some people like Classic. I can't blame you. They're both great. Ooh, and Classic going for a Stargate. Okay. All right, changing it up. Byun not heading up the ramp. Deciding against it. Means he's not going to get a scout on the Stargate, at least not yet. Oh, he's going double CC behind this. Byun off to a very economic start. Quick third CC. Again, I do like Phoenix openers. Maybe we'll see Oracles here at a Classic. Personally, I prefer just straight to Phoenixes. Especially with the way Byun has been playing. Like, Byun really likes to get aggressive early on with harassment. We've seen him send Cyclones across the map, Reapers and Hellions. You have things like Hellion drops, Liberators, Banshees, right? Byun likes to do all of that. He likes to get that pressure on early and you know, try to keep the Protoss down. Phoenixes are a great way to deal with harassment-based openers. They really struggle against like a 3-racks or against any committed pressure early game. They can have a tough time. And against like a proxy or a 1-base or anything extreme, they would be struggling as well. But against harassment-based openers, they're so good. A Widowmine drop running into 4 Phoenixes, that's like their worst nightmare because there's no escape. Byun likes to, you know, keep one Widowmine and a Medevac in the corner just to annoy the Protoss. You can't do that against Phoenixes, right? The Phoenixes will just kill it. As the Widowmines drop out, the Phoenixes lift them and kill them. It's a great way to defend against that kind of stuff. Hellion drops, same thing. I used to pretty consistently go back in the long ago when I played this matchup. I used to consistently go for Hellions against Protoss. And Phoenixes are they're just like a hard counter to that kind of thing. 4 Hellions is really good against probes, but if the Phoenixes just lift and kill 2 of them before they get to the probes, you're just kind of winning. That being said, Byun does have Stim combat shields on the way. It's the 3cc opener once again. And the normal follow-up to that is going to be more Raxes, getting out a lot of bio as soon as possible. You're going to be a bit later to Medevacs, but you need a lot of units when you go for a 3cc opener. You just try to tech up immediately after that. That is incredibly greedy. So ByuN might be able to find a cheeky opening here, but I don't know. Even as I say that, the first Colossus is already on the way out. Thermal Lance has started up. The Phoenix is doing a great job being annoying here. Classic going to be able to keep them alive. Yeah, just gets 4 kills. Forces a couple of turrets here out of ByuN as well. And then if he's able to get 2 Colossi out before ByuN pushes across the map, the Bio is going to have a really tough time getting any work done. And I don't think ByuN's going to want to actually push out here. I feel like he just needs to take a third. I mean, he's already got a third. He just needs to float it over. And that's exactly what he's doing. There's no real need to put pressure on. The worker count is very, very similar, much closer than it normally would be in this matchup. And as he takes his third and is able to drop some mules at it, get mining from it, ByuN's actually going to be in a very good economic position against the Protoss. And this is even with Classic killing a few SCVs. So I talked about like harassment base openers from ByuN. This is kind of the other alternative because Protoss usually has a leg up economically. So you either need to hurt their economy or in this case, just kind of go a bit greedy with it and boost your economy. And that's what ByuN has chosen. And it makes these Phoenixes a little less effective. Obviously, they've gotten some damage done, and Classic hasn't taken any damage, but again, against a big, like an actual big army like this, the Phoenixes struggle a lot more. And we already see a couple of Phoenixes falling here as the Marines now have stim. They're going to be able to come in here and defend their medevacs. Another one goes down. In Classic, he's still getting damage done, but he recognizes that there's a move out coming. And the rest of his army is decent, but like charge isn't done yet. +1 isn't done yet. The 2 Colossi are out, but this is going to be... There's a lot of bio heading across the map. Kills the Observer. ByuN's going to lift up in the medevacs. Oh, the Phoenixes are here. Oh, Classic's got a pylon. ByuN was trying to be really sneaky, and honestly, it almost worked. He's going to go for it anyways. Oh, he's insane. He's a madman. He's a madman. I mean, there's only 3 Phoenixes, so it's not the scariest amount of chasing against these medevacs, but yeah, he still loses a medevac with a bunch of units in it. Classic is chasing him back into the corner. ByuN's going to have to pick up again. Oh, but the Archon's getting a couple extra shots off on that medevac. It will survive for now. Was that worth it for ByuN, though? I don't know. Kind of ends up being a trade. It looks like he kills the rocks out here. Yeah, ByuN has lost a good bit more than Classic. But I think at this point, not the best for him. But Classic's 4th base is not quite done yet. ByuN's is about halfway done. ByuN already has Ghosts coming out, so he's got that EMP possibility. Going to be very nice against particularly the charge lots. But if the charge lots want to come in here, and honestly, even if just like 2 came in here right now to delay this, it'd be very annoying. This might actually be enough. If he just clicks this command center. All right, you know what? ByuN's very close. I think he's going to be able to get here in time to save this. Ooh, but more Adepts actually coming in over here. There's no bunker or anything. These Adepts are just going to get a bunch of free damage. Very nicely done. So let's try to come back in, but ByuN did not send everything over to the other side of the map. Good chasing there for ByuN. Gonna get all those Adepts. The Zealot run by is down to just a few. So a few SCVs go down, but honestly, I think this trade has been better for ByuN. You know, losing a mule was painful here. Oh my god, but this missile turret. What is this missile turret doing here? That's a beautiful missile turret. Classic clearly was not prepared for that. He keeps the Warp Prism alive, but obviously stops it from being able to get in. And ByuN, seeing that, he's going to drop 2 more missile turrets in the main, 3 more in the main. Classic taking the lower left base. I don't see this base taken very often. This is kind of almost a hidden, because I don't think ByuN's going to be expecting this, and I don't think he's going to scout it, at least for a while. Maybe he'll send a drop this way at some point, but it's going to be a tough base to find. And in the meantime, Classic is once again getting into carriers. Now, this right here is the dangerous position for the next few minutes for Classic. Because if ByuN starts really putting concerted pressure on, it's going to be tough to defend. The carriers don't pop with all their interceptors. Lower carrier count is pretty rough. They're very slow moving. They do have a tough time defending sometimes. They don't have their +1 yet. You know, this is a dicey time for Classic. But once he gets out 4-6 carriers, it starts to feel quite a bit better. And ByuN, well, he's not putting that pressure on. I really feel like he needs to be putting pressure on. But I think a big part of it, and this is why Classic is doing it, Classic's 5th base doesn't seem to be showing up for ByuN. ByuN might be thinking, is this still 4 base to 4 right now? Yeah, I assume he knows about this one, or at least surmises this one's here. But I feel like if ByuN knew this base was here, he would just go kill it, because Classic is so far away from it right now. But now there's a mothership out. The next 3 carriers are going to pop very soon. Shields is on the way. +1 attack is finished. And now Classic's army is feeling real good. Real good. And ByuN does have a bit of a different composition this game, as he does hit maxed. Only 7 Vikings, so a very low Viking count compared to the what's going to be 6 carriers and 2 Colossi. 7 Vikings it's not enough to take those carriers down like we saw last game. But it will allow ByuN to be maybe a bit more active with his bio. Couple zealots sneaking in here being annoying. ByuN is going to head down here, and he's going to miss the mothership. Oh my god, that is actually crazy how close he was to scouting that. No turrets here either. Looks like we're going to see a recall. But ByuN is he's going to inadvertently scout this base. And this is the danger for Classic, is now this base is getting hit. But he's on the other side of the map, poking and prodding at this soon-to-be Planetary. Planetary will help him a little bit, but not too much. I don't know if I love this fight for Classic right now. Losing a 5th base, this Planetary staying alive a shockingly long time, but I don't think ByuN can actually win the fight against the carriers. 6 carriers is a lot of interceptors. Interceptor count's starting to fall. I don't know, these last few Marines and Ghosts doing a great job against them. Now we're going to see the recall into the 4th base, though. Couple of turrets here. Are they going to take out a carrier? Oh my god, the Planetary trying to hold. The time warp on the Planetary, though, that's going to go down. But at the same time, ByuN's over here killing the 4th base. Both players losing some bases, but I think economically this is better for ByuN. He needs to get back to mining at this base as we see the recall from Classic back to his Nexus. ByuN going to stim and run away. Classic lost a lot more workers. He's down, I mean, I guess only, 8 workers now. But still down in workers. It's now 5 bases to 4. Yeah, this is a very good situation for ByuN. Classic still has the army. Like, all 6 carriers are alive. He still has the 2 Colossi. He still has High Templar. But the Viking count now up to 15. +2's about to finish for those Vikings, so they will trim off carriers and Colossi pretty quickly. And 3-3's about to finish for the bio. So ByuN's out here looking for a fight. And I'm glad to see this, because I feel like this is what was missing last game. He wasn't aggressive at all. And it gave Classic the onus to be out on the map, putting pressure on. I like this a lot better for ByuN. It still is scary, though. 8-9 carriers. That's still a terrifying amount. Gonna see some EMPs going down. Beautiful storm on those Vikings, though. They are all now in the yellow. Another storm lands. Shield battery overcharge is going to be standing strong for now. ByuN decides to pull back. Does supply block Classic. It's kind of annoying. Classic gonna go for the counter push. The sensor tower will spot that. I'm surprised ByuN is pulling back so far and not trying to take a fight. I guess he's trying to get to where his turrets are. Sieges up the tanks. It's a bit of an awkward position for the bio. Oh, as some big beefy storms land. ByuN stays in those for a long time. This time warp, I don't know if it's helping a ton. There is a cloaking field here, and it doesn't look like ByuN has a scan. Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. Just took him a second. That fight was really good for Classic, though, and Classic has not been building any probes. So he went down a bunch of probes earlier, and he is replacing that with army. His army supply is pretty huge. ByuN is at 78 workers, so he's going to be just, even at max, 13 supply down in the army. Liberator's coming out now. That is a very interesting choice. Did I just see a nuke finish? I swear I saw a nuke start. Maybe I'm crazy. I would have loved to see a nuke here. Six Liberators on the way. Okay, he's going to try to splash damage down the interceptors. That's the only reason you make 6 Liberators at this point, right? It has to be. He's going for a big air army. Takes down a couple of those carriers. Still 7 left in the skies, but 21 Vikings. That is insane. Another cloaking field pops here for Classic. He's going to be on cooldown for a while. Classic does have another base up and running now. Needs to maybe Maynard some probes over there. But it doesn't look like he's oversaturated anywhere. Oh, a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, and ByuN scouts that. Oh, ByuN's trying to take this base. Oh, my God. Oh, that's a bold move. When your expansion and their expansion can almost see each other. That's dangerous. Oh, but we got another move in here on this base for Classic. He gets in. He's going to drop some storms. The Stalkers blink over to try to deal with the Liberators and the Vikings, which are currently fighting just interceptors. Classic taking a really nice fight so far as the Vikings dive forward. They are going to take off a carrier. Going to go for another one. They don't quite get it, but they will get the mothership. Oh, the Vikings diving really far forward here. They don't have enough bio to protect them. Zealots coming in now, but with the amount of ghosts here, I don't think the Zealots want to fight on their own. Classic kills the base. This one's not going to be quite as easy to replace for ByuN. Last time he just moved the command center over 2 squares. He is going to have another CC over there, but it's not going to be a planetary. I think Classic's pretty happy with that fight. He killed a lot of SCVs there as well. And he's going to dive back in, kill a couple of these turrets. Does lose quite a bit of gateway units for that, though. The Vikings get another carrier. They're just diving forward, going for yet another one. They get hit with a big storm. But now the carrier count down to just 2. There's no Colossi left, so those Vikings don't really need to be doing quite as much. But without a planetary, oh my God, another beautiful storm. ByuN, he's getting very low on bio units here as Classic is trying to push forward. The interceptors are all dead, though. These carriers are just paperweights. Only one carrier left that has no interceptors. The Archons and Stalkers still doing a pretty good job. Pushing forward, 13 more SCVs fall, and ByuN's economy is in a bit of a rough spot. Looks like this planetary is still holding over here against the run-by. Classic's going to have to back up. He's building more carriers. He knows he killed most of those Vikings. But ByuN needs to get that bio army back up. He's just out of minerals right now. He lands a huge mule hammer. He has so much gas in the bank, but he needs these mules to mine. And it looks like both players are just going to go home and reset their armies a little bit. ByuN getting mostly Marines out. I think that's a great choice here. If he can land the EMPs on most of the High Templar, the Marines can do a great job. Obviously, though, they're a lot more susceptible to storm. So that's the dicey position. And a lot less maneuverable than those Vikings. Without the Vikings, Classic just doesn't need to worry quite as much about these carriers, but the Interceptor's not going to do super hot against the storm, or against the Marines. But man, those are some storms catching me completely off guard, catching ByuN off guard as he's going to stim and kite these Zealots backwards. But Classic, he's pushing forwards, man. He is up in army supply. He's going to try to take these medevacs out. The Marines just can't seem to handle it. Another storm zoning these units back. In Classic, he's separated the units off. He might go for this base. Catching some reinforcements here. Marines just getting eaten up as they come out of the barracks. And Byun, always in such a tough spot right now. Does he have any big EMPs to hit? Tanks are sieged up so far away. The EMP whiffs the High Templar. And I don't think he has any more left. There's so many storms left in his army. And I think Classic, as he gets on top of this production, I think he's just going to have too much here. Byun trying to move up to retake his base, but there's so many storms. There's still so many carriers. The weather is bad, and I think Classic is about to secure his victory in this KSL. GG gets called. Classic takes the win, pulls it back from the jaws of defeat, doesn't let Byun close it out. Classic looking extremely strong in the late game. I love the way he was microing and handling his units. Byun able to take a couple of decent fights there, but it was never quite enough. GG.